Hello, and welcome to Literally Wasted. My name is Talia.
I'm Christy.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Adam. Hi.
So today we're here to talk about the first half of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep up to chapter 12. So stop at the end of chapter 11. Quick
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. Good point.
So please tell us where we should stop. If you've read ahead, what are we talking up to?
So Deckard is in the car with the android bounty hunter,
Yes.
and they're going to find the opera singer Luba Luft, which, by the way, is the best name I've ever heard.
Luba Luba.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, you know, a bunch of stuff has happened to him, but that's where he is. And then Isidore, he
Chickenhead.
Chickenhead,
Chicken.
yeah, the special. He has picked up a cat that turned out to be a real cat. It was supposed to be an android cat, and the cat has died. And then his boss and manager kind of bullied him into calling the family really meanly. It was mean-spirited, but he actually kind of nailed it. So that's awesome. So I'm interested to see what happens with him. That's where our characters are at. Does that kind of give y'all a good idea of where we are?
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you didn't talk about the beginning because I don't understand what happened in the beginning.
That was not an uncommon problem.
Yep.
So this book kind of just throws you into this very, very different world. I was super impressed with how the very first sentence, you're in it. You're completely in it. It's totally different from anything I read. It doesn't ease you into it. It just throws you in. And I admit I had to read like the first paragraph a couple of times, but then I kind of got there and just kept reading. But I know other people had a lot harder time. Adam, your experience with the beginning of the book was interesting.
You want me to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I did. There's some activity behind me. Don't worry about it.
Oh,
There is so when I started reading the book, I started reading it and I got like into the first chapter, and then I got into the second chapter, and then I realized I have no idea what I just read. So then I went back. Also, you know, I was late at night. I was falling asleep. You know, whatever. And then I went back. So I reread the first two chapters, and then I still didn't understand what I had just read. There were all sorts of things with like the empathy machine and like the mercerism and like.
those are the same thing.
Yeah,
But the emotions thing.
Yeah, no. So then the way I had to actually read it for it to make sense to me was there is apparently a graphic novel that is word for word the book. It just has, you know, pictures and stuff. So I read that. And
Oh, nice.
Then I got it. So that's, you know, there's something for everybody.
So you literally did the graphic novel the whole way through?
Well,
Yes.
to the halfway point.
To the halfway point.
So it's actually the entire book as a graphic novel?
Yep, the whole book.
I mean, I saw that there was a graphic novel, but I'm gonna check
Yeah,
that
word
out.
for word. They don't take any words out of the graphic novel. It's just
cool.
comic book form. Now here's the thing. It doesn't tell you. The chapters aren't the same. So I had to keep looking at the book to make sure that I was stopping in the right place.
But see, I feel like that would have helped me a lot because I just felt like a lot of, especially chapter 2, felt totally out of context for me, and I had zero clue as to what was going on. And now I kind of think I know, but I'm also not positive that I know. It's still kind of a guess.
Well, okay, I remember what happened in chapter 1, but what was chapter 2?
I think chapter
Chapter
2
2.
was when Chickenhead was in
Okay.
the empathy box, but it didn't baby step me enough. It was all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's just like, this is what happens when you're in the empathy box. And I was like, what now?
Well, and baby stepping you, that's actually a really great term. Philip K. Dick did not do that with this book at all, which I kind of appreciated once I got used to it.
It made me feel like a dum-dum. I could not keep up. I could not, well, that's not even, I don't want to say that. That's not true. It's not that I couldn't keep up, because I can keep up with a fast-paced book. This doesn't feel fast-paced to me.
It's just a different style of writing.
Yeah,
I think.
it's very different. I legit because I did doze a couple of times when I was trying to get into it. I had to read it like this. No exaggeration. I would just stared really hard at the words, willing them to go into my brain so that I didn't keep staring at the same 3 lines over and over again.
So let's see what some other people said.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Dan Lafferty said he's dreaming of an electric dog right now. He wishes he could turn off his hyperactive real one. Nikki says, glad I wasn't the only one to be lost in the beginning. Brandy says, same. Jess Welch says, I feel like there's a bunch of random pieces and I'm waiting for that one thing to tie it all together. But they're enjoying it. She's enjoying it. Tammy says, I didn't start understanding it until it was time to stop. Maybe that's how it got you. Nicole says, I was lost too. I was actually nervous that the whole book would be way too hard to follow, but glad it worked itself out.
Oh, okay.
Trish says, yes, took most of the book to understand. But Jeff, this is what I love about sci-fi. You are often just thrown in and have to figure it out as you go along. Hello, Brandy.
That's what James says too. I love being thrown into an established lore, having to piece it together. So there is value there, and he did. I mean, what, this was 1968, 69 that it was actually published. Like, it's way ahead of its time. And we can talk about movie stuff later, but I mean, he really did set up a cool world.
Yeah. Well, and Lucas, what was your experience with the book?
So I'm audiobooking again. I tried to read it, and I kind of did the same thing. And it was late at night, and it was like, Talia was like, "You're on the same page," and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get the audiobook." So, I have seen Blade Runner the movie. It's not one of my staples, but you know, I've probably seen it 2 or 3 times over the years, and it's cool. Like, it's not like, ooh, I love it, but I think what the movie does, like Scott said in the comments, is it's just beautiful and it sounds beautiful. So I think I did have some of that, so I was able to understand parts of the book that he was talking about and actually be like, oh, that's cool, because in the movie it just kind of jumps to a part, but now I kind of have a little bit of like backstory on some of the parts. So I'm really anxious to rewatch it, and we can talk about that later too. So I'm liking it. It's definitely weird. I struggled, and I definitely had to rewind a lot with the Mercerism. That was the chapter that lost me the most, because I was like, wait, I'm in an apartment talking about Kipple, and now all of a sudden, like, I'm climbing a hill, and how does he get cut? And that was the hardest part for me.
That's in the empathy box.
That was the empathy, but it's so I struggled with that. That was the part that I struggled the most with. But it really does start to pick up and become kind of a through progression after that. And so I'm anxious to see where it goes. I mean, it's a short book, and I was kind of like, oh man, I hate that we stop. I know a lot of you wanted to read 2 books this month, but
It's a short month and we're busy.
it's a short month, and you can catch up on maybe the Silo series or Red Rising if you finish this early. But no, I'm liking it, and I really like some people have said, I like the world that he's built, and obviously it's lasted and created even more film and other stuff. So I'm really anxious. You've seen it, right, Christy?
I have not.
Oh, so I cannot wait for y'all to see it, because it really is. It is a. Talia was like, well, but it was made in the 80s, and I was like,
All I was saying is that the specific year that it was made makes it old.
So,
It's a joke.
Once I got into it, it really started to click for me. And then, having read the first 2 chapters multiple times, I really started to appreciate the world building. And I was telling Christy that, being hard sci-fi, like where this book really gets you is in the sort of philosophical aspect of like what this is and what it's depicting and what it's trying to say, and I really got into it as a sci-fi fan. I'm looking forward to continuing. I know Christy had now that we have actually gotten to the halfway point, I know she had she wishes we had stopped at a different place.
Oh, yeah. So I wish we had stopped at the end of chapter 10 instead of the end of chapter 11, because at the end of chapter 10, we've been introduced to this alternative police station, and we find out that Deckard might not know what he's doing. Like, he might have some implanted memories. You know, he tried to call his wife, and he didn't get her. He got a total stranger. And
Yeah, the whole chapter freaked me out.
I know, and I was expecting a twist like this in this book, but I did not expect it to come so soon, and so I was so excited. And then chapter 11 was awesome, but we learned that it's just infested with androids of the police station, and that's what's happening, and so that it's not anything to do with Deckard. So I kind of wish we had stopped at the end of chapter 10 just so that we could have explored that a little bit, because I still think that it's an option. Someone in the discussion topics post said, what if they're all Andes? Like, what if everybody on the world is Andes? And I think that
Why? That would hurt my brain. What's the point?
well, on Earth, like, we have the radiation issue.
But they're not, because then what?
But
the
also,
chickenheads?
if you want to point, it could just be to, like, take care of the animals that are still left alive.
Like these.
Like this, yeah.
Those are owls.
Spoiler alert, none of those animals are real.
Yes, they are.
They're all the Urants.
Are you trying to
Urants
shame us?
brand.
We're following the rules of Mercerism. We have our animals to take care of.
You're not supposed to really discuss this.
Yeah, shame
It's a
on
faux
you.
pas. Faux pas.
I think that's a weird thing. So,
It's empathy.
no, but from what I remember of the movie, like, I really don't remember any of the animal stuff. And that was a whole nother deep dive of, like, this is weird. Like, so all these animals have died, and it's like a status thing now to have an animal. And, you know, these exotic animals, too. Like, he's eyeballing...
What's a
horse.
friggin'
The
ostrich?
horse and an ostrich, and
Well, and the fact that, like, the bigger the animal, the more prestige comes with it a little
Yeah.
bit. And I
Unless it's a bird.
would hate to take care of, like, an ostrich.
They're
on
super
top of your
scary.
roof, like
Yeah.
Yeah, and Leanne made a really good point. Like, why are all of these live animals on the roof? How is that a good habitat for them, especially with all the radiation?
Yeah, are they all wearing goggles?
Or, like, the cod pieces that, like, all the men are
yeah,
wearing?
that was kind of weird too.
Yeah.
It's like,
So-
well, your cod piece is not as good as my cod piece.
My
sir.
lead codpiece.
It's like,
I don't
they're
know why I
very
said it
into very into brand names, which is why when I first started reading the book, it felt kind of satirical to me when they keep mentioning the brand name of the emotion dialing device, and like, we're just glad to have a Pembrone emotion machine, and like they're and then friendly and
Buster-
the friendly
Buster
friendlies
Friendly.
comes on screen.
Buster Friendly and the Friendly
Buster
Friends.
Friendly. It felt like this sort of bizarre satire land for a minute, and it still kind of feels like that.
Buster Friendly,
some
who did
case.
46 or 47 hours of content every single day?
Oh, I wrote
Is that
that
right?
down.
yeah, because he's an android, right?
Oh, he has
Yeah.
to be. Him and his
Him
friendly
and this-
friends.
yeah,
Definitely androids, which they don't really go into that, but I think they are.
that's kind of what I was getting the hint of. is
They
that
have to be.
They have to be.
But I mean,
Weird.
at the animal hospital, the fake animal hospital, they have the conversation about, like, Mercerism versus Buster Friendly and the Friendly Friends, and who is, like,
The friendly friend.
that's what they are,
I
right?
know, it's funny.
I love it. It's so good.
These are our friendly friends.
Yeah,
It's a hippo. No, it's a rhino.
yeah. It
This
says
is a hippo.
they're fighting for control of our psychic souls, and that they're both immortal, and, like, that whole concept is so interesting.
I just don't get it.
Well, Mercerism takes a really, really big role in this book. I think we should probably talk about that.
Well, Talia, we have a whole group full of people that are willing to help you get it.
Oh yeah, please help
me.
us.
Help me get it.
Yeah, y'all
Help
chime
me.
in.
We have a lot of people. We have I think it was Brandy that said, I got to scroll up. I usually don't care for sci-fi at all, but this is actually beginning to be a favorite.
Oh, good.
Nice.
I'm hoping there's something that comes up that hooks me. I'm not saying that I don't like the book. I just don't feel a connection to it yet.
James Anderson. We know James.
Hi, James.
The book definitely dives much deeper into the philosophy of what humanity really means, and I would love to get into that in this discussion as well. Blade Runner is much more of a hard-boiled noir film with philosophies. He said film. We're talking about the movie, but the book is that too. People are talking about the movie. Let's see. Jeff is surprised at how many people in this group have not seen the movie. Well, I guess we're just going to have a movie night.
Yeah, we are.
Thanks, Netflix.
Let's see what else. What are other people saying? Ground is probably more saturated with radiation, to answer the animal question, says Virginia.
Yeah, okay. That does
Well,
make
but
sense.
the birds are the ones that died
Oh,
first, so I was
yeah.
thinking it was from the top. Although that could just be from the beginning, and then it like settles. I don't know how it works.
I don't either.
But,
I don't know how any of this works.
I thought one of the funniest parts that like this was like a really short little part, but they were talking about the not Molotov. What's the
Polakov?
Did you say Molotov?
Molotov? Whatever that guy that android was.
Polakov.
The ant head, which I'm like, okay, well y'all really haven't
Oh.
mentioned ant heads versus chicken heads, so I want to.
There's an ant head?
Yeah.
Yeah, he called him an ant head.
I think it's
But-
a one that's way more special than the chicken head.
But his job was smashing cars and dumping them into San Francisco Bay. And I just thought that was
I think I slept through that.
just kind of hilarious that they're just dumping stuff into the bay. But I mean,
But they are. They're doing that now.
what you do.
That's real.
And because I guess trash removal, it's like Wall-E, right? Trash removal and maintenance is a huge issue because of the kipple.
Yeah,
Which we have kipple. I have kipple all over the house.
Well, and when you go to
Y'all.
sleep, does it double while you sleep?
Doubles, triples.
I
In certain rooms, unless you maintain it.
loved the Kipple philosophy and the rules of Kipple, and I thought that was really just bizarre.
He was definitely writing on something in the 60s.
I mean,
Scott's
it
like,
was
yeah.
the 60s. So, can I talk about the cat thing? There was something that really bugged me about the cat thing.
Yeah.
So, well, first off, I didn't like that the cat died. That made me sad. But that's not what bugged me about the plot of it. So, in this scene with the real cat that has died, they call the woman, and she is very distraught, says that her husband loves this cat so much that he's scared to go near it. And yet when the cat was handed off, the dude basically chucked the cat at him and was like, "It's sick, gotta go," and then peaced out. Also, when they suggested replacing it with an Andy cat, she was like, "How dare you, no!" And then 5 minutes later, she was like, "Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Give me the robot cat." And all of that seemed super weird to me. None of that felt right. And I don't know if it was a writing thing or a plot thing that's going to come up later. Don't tell me, that's a spoiler. I just wanted to throw it out there that it didn't sit right with me.
I think all of it's supposed to be a little unsettling, though. I mean, I think that gets to the whole philosophical side of
Not
it.
unsettling, plot hole-ish.
Plot hole-ish.
Well, and what did y'all think? What did y'all think about the whole cat situation and, like, I guess her reaction to losing the cat? And I gotta say, I didn't have the same reaction that you did. I mean, I hated to see the cat die, but they all did. Nobody wants a living creature to die, especially on this world
Well, yeah.
where life is so rare and important. And I think also the wife was kind of going through like the stages of grief. Like she got really offended and then knew that she couldn't replace the cat, and then just got to a point where she really wanted to save her husband from worry and grief also.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just, in my gut, something feels fishy.
So Ian says, I think he did that because he knew it wouldn't survive, so he didn't want to show how hurt he was, so he played it off.
Why wouldn't he want to show that he's hurt? Empathy is what their entire religion's based off of. Cry, man, cry!
Maybe he's not a real person. Maybe he's incapable of showing empathy.
I told you something was
Maybe.
fishy! Sorry.
Maybe he's the
That was
last
really loud.
person on Deckard's list. Or, excuse me, last Andy.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, they're not people.
No,
They're
no,
Andys.
my bad. It was a slip.
Jess Welch says, I really don't like cats. Not that I want them to die, but I think there was something off about that couple. So yeah, I think there's definitely off about the couple.
Well, let's talk about all the couples that we've been exposed to. That
yeah.
couple was off, but then like Deckard and his wife had the most bizarre relationship.
So weird.
He's like, man, I wish I had left her 2 years ago when I thought about it. Oh, well, it's not too late.
She's
Yeah.
just
That's
like,
good.
I'm gonna dial up depression for 6 hours.
Yeah, well, and instead,
No
like,
point living.
he offered her like some quality time. I'm sure it was like dialed up fake quality time, but still, like, he wanted to connect with her, and she was having none of it.
But also, I did think some of the things she was saying were insightful, though. She's like, we're losing
Yeah.
like our ability to feel things, and we're letting the robots control our emotions. So I could see it from both sides.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that machine a little bit. I was so excited about that machine in like the first sentence, right? So it woke him up and he felt perfect and wonderful and he woke up easily and I was like, I need that.
That would be super cool.
But then every other instance that they mentioned the machine, I was horrified. It's
Yeah.
like,
Dial 182 so you feel like dialing some other number?
Yeah.
Yikes. Dial that one number so you can appreciate how your husband was right and you were wrong. Delete that number forever.
I'm gonna be dialing
Nope.
up some numbers.
yeah, the number system was just fascinating.
But it's also fun because
can't
I mean
see
he
it
wrote
over the
this in a
rail.
time where like switchboards were actually kind of a thing, I guess. I mean it was the 60s, but I mean it's like an archaic future in a way that's kind of cool. It's like, June, get me so and so, and it's like, all right, Mr. Deckard, on the vid phone. So there's something kind of fun about like I could see them like walking over and be like, shh, and actually like dialing up a mood, and then
Is that Blade Runner?
no, I'm just
That's
saying
Million
that's
Dollar
my
Man.
rotary phone.
Okay.
when I'm
Oh
dialing
no,
it up.
I thought you were running. I can't see you
Oh,
over the rhino. Sorry.
That's running.
Yeah. Well, going back to the machine with the emotions, Dan Lafferty said, who is really less human, a created being which doesn't realize it was created, or a biological human who uses technology to predetermine his own emotions every morning?
Yeah, see, this is the
Deep.
good stuff. This is the
Deep.
good stuff right here. This is
Okay, the
philosophy.
androids who don't know that they're androids freak me out
Oh,
so bad.
yeah.
That was so horrifying to me. Also, Rachel got over that real fast. Rachel, who was like, this is my uncle. I am his niece. I was on the ship. This was my whole life story. I shall take the test. Test is over. Just kidding. She's an android. Darn it. You caught us. And she's like,
But also the androids, Deckard points out that androids don't look out for each other. Like, they don't care about each other. And I think that probably has a lot to do with themselves too. Like, how can they look out for themselves and care about themselves to that extent? Like, it's probably just new information and she assimilates it and then moves on.
Yeah, because you see that in the police station where the
I got his
they
name.
obviously
hunter?
don't have any
Bill Rush?
yeah, he doesn't have any regard for the other one.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Well, and
"What
that's
if
when
we're all
Deckard had that
androids and
conversation.
We don't know it.
What are
You're
you
definitely
saying?
an android.
What am I saying?
No, Talia just mumbled something.
I said, what if we're all androids and we don't know it?
Well,
there we go.
then we'll
That's
be-
part of
we'll be
it.
a lot-
Everything in your brain is fake.
We'll be a lot stronger than
The
we
Matrix all over
thought we
again.
were.
Well, I just met you last week, so probably.
False memories.
False memories.
What about that time we made beer cheese?
But the thing about this that interests me, if we want to dive into like the philosophical, and I think that comment by Dan sort of hit the nail on the head, is that like and especially like in the now, right? This book takes place in like now, right? It's like 2021.
2021.
Oh, wow.
So like it's almost happening, except
Where's
for the
my
whole
hover car?
radiation fallout. Well, wait for it.
Yeah,
But,
there's still time.
But and I think we've touched on this in other live discussions where we've talked about like post-human and altering humans for desirable qualities and that sort of stuff. And this book takes actual like artificial creations and contrasts them with humans that are basically being programmed. Either they're being programmed by the dialing machine, they're being programmed by Mercerism or Buster Friendly. Like all of the people that we have met in one way or another are not free thinkers. They're programmed by some artificial construct. So like the comment by Dan being about, you know, what's more robotic, what's less of a human. That's a really good question, and look at Talia's face. That's weird. But and I'm interested to see, like, from the lens of Deckard and from the lens of Isidore, like, does this affect them? Do they, in their in Deckard's quest to get rid of these androids, which have this new processing device that makes them even harder to detect? Like, what is he going to learn about himself? What is he going to learn about humanity? How's that going to affect him? How's that going to affect me? How's it going to affect Talia, who's shell-shocked right now?
I
Look at
don't
that.
like it.
If I could zoom in on her face, I would, but I'd have to get up from the
Let's
table.
not.
You want me to do it?
No,
But
I'll post a selfie in the group later.
but I think it's really fascinating, and there's a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode
Oh my gosh.
called Measure of a
we
Man,
not?
which makes me think about this book a lot, where they actually put an artificial life form on trial to figure out whether he can be deemed a life form or not. So good. This is sci-fi at its best. I'm a fan. Back to you.
Can we talk about what's her name again? Lupaloo?
Luba Luft?
Okay, close enough.
Yeah, you were close.
She made me really mad. Did anyone else feel like when he was giving her the test, she was intentionally being like
Oh, yeah.
super disruptive and like trying to
was
mess the test
awesome.
up and just being
Of
okay?
course she was. She was trying not to get killed.
Well, I don't like her because it bugged me, and I was like, just answer the question.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing.
oh,
So-
I don't understand that word. That what is a wasp?
So that's what confuses me is why would anyone even
Submit to it.
submit to that test?
I think
Because
you have
obvious,
to.
I
He's
guess.
the popo. You can't not.
Yeah, it's just. But no, I thought that was clever. Like she was like, oh, she's totally owning him.
I know. I
and
thought she
throwing
a
him
snooty
off.
snoot.
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, and that to me, like, her sense and her, like, survival instinct is made her one of the more human characters in the book. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree.
Well, that other dude, the Santa guy, had survival
Polkov.
instincts because he tried to kill him.
Well, yeah, and he used some real, I guess,
He
sneaky about
he
it.
tricked him, and then he was
Yeah.
gonna choke him. And then Deckard blew his robot brain out.
Well, and he could have gotten away with it because he has that background with it was like the
Yeah, he works with another law enforcement agency, right?
MOP. WOP.
yeah.
Oh wait, no, that's the other guy. Wait, I'm
Oh, I-
confused. Oh no,
took it out.
I don't
But-
remember.
Yeah, I mean, but he has this background, and he was able to call Deckard's boss person and like arrange to be his like tag along. Like he could have like escaped. He could have gone to another like country or city. I don't know how their Earth is formed at this point, but like there's other places he could have gone. And he showed his cards way too early.
Yeah. That was a really short-lived moment. I was kind of expecting more build up to that point, but I guess I was fine with it because I really did like the Lubaloof and the
Yeah.
other parts with the fake police station. That was really good.
Yeah.
Does anyone think that Deckard's being affected by the radiation already?
I think they all are.
But like, remember in that moment with him, he was like, "You're not so and so, you're so and so," and I forget their name, sorry. And the android was like, "No, you have that backwards," because he did. He said it backwards. And then he has another instance of that, I think, where he mixes up his words or he mixes up people's names. Like his train of thought isn't tracking correctly, and I'm wondering if he's slowly,
Degenerated.
It's good. It's interesting you bring that up, 'cause I thought the same. I read the same thing, and I was like,
Sorry.
what?
She's doing chicken sounds.
Oh,
Is
well, that's
that what he's
just
doing?
Offensive. But
I didn't make the thing.
yeah, when he got the words backwards, I was like,
Right?
what was that about?
That was intentional. Philip wrote that in there for a reason. We're on a first name basis. So, like, maybe that's to show that, that lead codpiece ain't working out for him.
Well, that's really
Also,
interesting.
that's not where your brain is, but that's a whole Nope. Okay.
So let's check in with the comment section.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I got to scroll back up. But
Okay, we'll
just
give you a minute.
to read some of the more recent ones. Amanda Bergen says, I would like to show some general appreciation for Philip K. Dick's vision in this book. Corporations are now considered people, but the struggle in determining what is a person is kind of deeply ingrained in the story. And again, he wrote it over 50 years ago. The guy's a
That's terrifying.
soothsayer. Nikki says, it seemed the android was very confident in his ability to kill Deckard. Let me scroll up. Dan Lafferty says, Deckard is an interesting protagonist. We're used to protagonists who see through the flaws of their situation, overcome them, and defy them. But Deckard is like the poster child for the average American in this society. He's a slave to the cultish fads, and it's his wife who almost sees through the falseness of it all, which I thought was interesting. Like, she's super depressed. She's like trying to program herself to be depressed because she wants to feel more human. She wants to feel like her emotions are directly affected by her surroundings, which is interesting. Let's see. Scrolling up, people love that Star Trek episode that I mentioned, which is a great episode. Everybody should watch it. It's again sci-fi at its best. Let's see. Vicky Pack says, I think the way they accept changing their moods with a dial and all contributes to how they alter their viewpoints so easily. The lady with the cat, Deckard with everyone's identities.
That explains the lady with the cat. I love that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Did you get that?
What? I'm sorry, I was looking for a thing.
The mood dialer thing could have explained the lady with the cat's like sudden mood change.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe she was just trying
That
to dial
makes
herself into
It still smells fishy.
That's for sure. Other comments?
I was trying to find, so Giggles Vids on YouTube was saying, did anyone catch what Deckard caught? I didn't understand what tipped him off that the K name was Polakov. So I went to go find that part, and that's when he took the gun from Slavic
right?
Santa, and
Oh, right.
so he took the gun and he's like, try and shoot it, and he can't because Santa has the triggering mechanism, and the only thing that I can think of is when he's showing to him, he's like, you see, he's like, it isn't attached. He goes, I can also direct it within certain limits, irrespective of where it's aimed. So maybe there's something like malicious, and he was saying, even though you're holding the gun, I can aim it and I can shoot it. I control it.
But I thought that Deckard had like
He'd set up some like
frozen
dampening
everything. Yeah, so
field
that
or
the
something
gun
like
wouldn't
that.
even go off. Because I thought Polakov like tried to shoot him and it didn't go off, and that's what like tipped him off.
Yeah.
Well, and like the technology that Deckard has access to is really cool because he has
the
that
freezy thing
and
was
the
super cool.
Freezy thing.
And the key that can open any door.
Oh, I missed that one.
Yeah.
What?
It's like
Where?
it's like the all powerful key that can open any door.
I want
It's like
Yeah,
one.
he's got like a skeleton key basically that just
Oh, an
like,
infinity
opens
key.
an
everything.
infinity key.
Oh, is that what it's
Oh,
called?
snap.
Yeah, what does
Excellent.
it say?
Analyzed and opened all forms of locks known.
Infinity key.
Ah,
That's amazing.
That's real cool. I think I was very tired when I read this.
Yeah.
But now I'm learning new things.
Yeah,
That's what we're here for.
Also, anytime they call the information sheets, they call them poop sheets.
Yeah, poop sheets.
Makes me laugh.
That was
So Dan Lafferty says, this discussion needs more Isidore. Isidore?
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, am I the only one who laughed out loud at him going to meet his neighbor with butter in his
with
hand?
the margarine,
Aw.
margarine cube.
Well,
Also,
like,
she
"Oh, I
answered
brought
the
you-"
door with only pants on.
well, she is an Andy. Probably.
She is. It's what's her face.
Is it the same one though?
She has the same name.
So
Do
I'm
Andys
interested
have
to see where that
different
goes.
names?
We
No,
only
I
got
think
one
she
scene
was
with her.
saying the Rachel.
Yeah, I think she's just
I
like a
think
model
she's-
of that person.
Yeah, she
Ew,
said
there's
Rachel.
two.
I don't
Clothes
know.
are creepy.
We're gonna find out, but I think that that's a possibility. It's not really a clone. She's just a robot. And she might be based off someone, so she might actually be the human version. I don't know.
I think
Well, she was only wearing pants.
That's
with
true.
that Isidore part, it was hard to get into it because that part was so confusing from the get-go. But it did get funny. He was like, I don't know. Do I take flour or do I take?
I don't
this?"
appreciate the
He's
voice
like,
that
I
you're
know.
using
I'll
right
take
now.
a cube of
Oh, well,
margarine
he is
now.
a chickenhead.
But he's a chicken. He's only slightly special. He doesn't speak like Eeyore.
He's on. He's
That's
technically.
how he is on the.
Vicky Pack
audiobook,
said fake
sorry.
butter. Yes, margarine is the Andy version of butter.
But I really liked that, like, from our culture, you know, bringing or borrowing a cup of sugar, like that still stands, and
Yeah.
how it's kind of evolved even in 2021.
Well, because he
No,
did.
one more
He
year.
was like, "Do I borrow something?" He was
Yeah.
like, he couldn't figure it
He's
out. but-
sweet. He tried to save the cat.
He really did.
He
He
couldn't
was
find the
looking for
control panel. on the cat.
circuitry.
Yeah. But he didn't hurt the cat, which I appreciated.
I know. I would have been really upset if he'd poked a hole in it and just goo came out instead.
He would have been horrified. Like, he would have been devastated if that had
He
happened.
would have gotten fired.
So
That's
Stephanie
That's
Board,
sad anyways.
Stephanie Board says, I kind of think they are all androids. They just don't know it. I feel like the emotional control thing wouldn't work on a regular human. Maybe the species, scroll away. Maybe the species are the only ones that are still human. I don't know.
Or maybe this is where everybody's on Mars now. And anytime there's a manufacturing error with their androids and they come out not quite right, they just ship them off to Earth because they're running out of room.
Well, but also, I think that having Andes on Earth to take care of, the animals that are real and alive makes a really good
Why wouldn't they
point.
take them with them?
Lucas, Matt Scalisi has made a request. He said, Lucas, can you please
No,
say
no.
in that chickenhead voice,
No.
who turned out the lights?
No, please don't. No.
Is that good?
There it is.
Just for you, Matt.
Well, there's more to talk about with Isidore. And I guess his relationship with Rachel
And the butter.
and the butter. Yeah. Which he's holding the whole time he's having a conversation with
Yeah,
her.
he's
with
clutching
the
it so it's
topless-
melting.
Yeah.
With a beautiful topless android.
He's like,
Well, and that's also when we get all of our information on the kibble. What's it
The
called?
kipple.
Kipple?
Yeah, it took me a second to realize that the kipple was a real thing that more than one person references, and not something that
Yeah,
was
it's
just happening
it's a way
inside of
of
Isidore's
life.
head.
Yeah. Well, I think Buddy Friendly talks about kibble.
yeah, I think Kipple is part of, so there seems to be two sort of competing religions, kind of?
Ideologies, I guess.
Yeah, philosophy, way of
Yeah.
life. There's Buster Friendly and his 24-hour broadcast, and then there's Mercerism. But Isidore is bought into Mercerism for sure. But he cannot stop watching Buster. He's in it to win it.
Well, that's also the only channel that he has.
That's
And
what.
the friendly
That's
friends.
the only channel that he
How
has.
does
Yeah.
he have power?
But he watches it.
I don't know how it works. But it's really interesting his connection with other people. He's in this building completely alone until Rachel moves in. And his only connection with humans is at his job, where he's obviously despised a little bit. And then also through Mercerism and the Mercer box, empathy box. Because it lets you commune with people and experience the same thing. And he talked about how important it was to feel close to them.
Is it real, or I thought it was just their a traditional robot box, and it just plays the same thing every single day, and it's this weird reminder.
It is that, but it's also when you're watching it and you're in it, you are in it. You feel the things. Because the old guy got a rock thrown at him and
Right.
it cut his shoulder, and he got his shoulder cut. And he,
4D.
and he says he's gotten worse things from that. He said that old people will die sometimes, or people that don't have the hearts or strong hearts. Because I guess when he gets to the top of the hill he descends into
The
hell.
Then why would you get in the box?
I can't remember what the term
it's
was.
the under.
Well, but
don't have that
especially the
comment.
people who are left on Earth, it's to feel close and connected to other humans.
I don't want to live in this world.
I don't think anyone does.
What?
Want
No,
to
I
live
think
in
This
you
one's
don't
fine.
wanna
That
live
one.
in
I
this
mean, I don't
world.
want to live in that one.
You can't. You're talking too soft when you do.
I don't want to live in that one.
in the world.
That
Of-
world.
of
On
light- of
Earth.
This?
No.
Who would want to live in this world?
I mean,
Does anybody in the comment section want to actually live in this world?
well, and Isidore
The
doesn't have
alarm
the
clock would be nice.
he doesn't have the option to get off the planet, but a bunch of other people do, and they just choose not to.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's the whole emigrate or degenerate.
Yeah.
Which does that rhyme? Degenerate? Is that a word?
Degenerate?
Because I read it as emigrate or degenerate,
Yeah.
and then I felt like a chicken head. and also, while I'm thinking about it, just the way the book is written, I don't think he's a big fan of commas, and that hurt me a little bit to get into the book, because I wanted there to be more commas.
Well, going back to the immigration, one of the lines was that had been the ultimate incentive of immigration. The android servant is carrot, because if you immigrate, you get an android servant, and then the radioactive fallout as stick. And I really liked that line, and I thought it explained things really well. And I don't see why people wouldn't go.
I was gonna say, you don't even need a carrot. There's the stick. The stick is there's radiation poisoning. Your planet's dying. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're gonna get dumb and deformed and then die.
Well,
Leave.
and the book did talk about reasons that people did stay other than the people who weren't able to immigrate. Does anyone remember what those were? Because I can't remember.
Why they wanted to?
Why
I think
people
just
stayed that
familiarity. Like they didn't want to leave what they knew. But also, like, if I had to choose between leaving what I know and dying, I think I'd try something new.
Well, there were some people that couldn't leave.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about the people who just
People who
chose
didn't
not
want
to.
to
Like
leave?
Deckard and his wife. Why
Yeah.
are they still there?
Well, Deckard said he couldn't leave because of his job. His job is to
He
hunt
chose.
Andes.
I still think he could have left if he had wanted to.
I think she wanted to. I think that's why she wants to be depressed. I think she wanted to emigrate.
I was just laughing at Scott's comment.
Comment.
Comma.
Chameleon.
Now
Thank
it's
you,
stuck in my
Thomas.
head.
How much was a chameleon cost?
You gotta look up the
$5,000.
Sydney's Blue Book
I mean,
or
an
whatever.
ostrich.
So
is
I think it is
expensive.
funny that it's like, got $1,000 for killing an android. It's like,
Now I can get a squirrel.
now I can get a squirrel.
Oh my god, the bounty hunter loves his squirrel, y'all.
But you-
And I feel bad. I know he's an android, but he loves watching his squirrel. And doesn't that show growth? Doesn't that show that that particular type of android, if an android doesn't know that he's an android, is he capable of empathy?
Yeah.
Okay, Talia, we get it. You're not an android.
Well, it could be a newer model.
You
Don't rule that out.
You don't get to have a pet squirrel. In my
don't have
world,
empathy.
you get no pet. That goes in the wheel.
But you're right. He does show a lot of empathy for his squirrel.
Maybe that's the trick.
Well, and I also think we're going to
Is
see...
you have to know that you have to not know
Yeah.
that you're an android.
I think Deckard, we're going to see Deckard, like, reevaluate what he thinks of the world. And I think that, what's his name, Bill, is going to be a big part of that. Hopefully, maybe.
He really wanted that ostrich.
Oh my gosh. He wants... And the owl.
Why?
He wants owls.
Okay, I would want an owl though, but I would not want an ostrich.
But then you have to clean up after all these animals.
Owls don't poop.
Yeah,
It's the best pet.
That's not...
Owls don't
that's not a
poop?
thing.
They don't poop.
I've inspected owl poop before.
They don't poop.
Really?
It's a pellet. They
Is that
regurgitate.
true?
Yeah,
It's a
okay,
pellet.
so whatever
They
they threw it up,
regurgitate.
and I tore it up
They
and
do not
found
poop.
bones. It was a Boy Scout thing.
They eat all their food whole, then it digests everything they can't digest, like all the fur and the bones and everything. They regurgitate it. It's called an owl pellet, but they've actually vomited it back up.
They don't have
I'm
a butt?
not sure that's better.
But it's true.
Hey Siri,
No, we're not gonna. I'm right. That's fine.
owls have a butt.
No, what? Yes, they have a butt. Oh my gosh,
Well,
that
then
was not
what's
the
a butt
question.
for?
What are we doing now? What
What
is
is
this?
the butt for?
They still pee. They just don't
Out of
poop.
You don't pee out of
Yes, they pee out of the
butt.
Hey, Christy, what's the next discussion topic?
It's funny you asked that. We were just about to talk about... No, I didn't.
Owl buttholes.
Okay.
Okay, well, a lot of people had problems connecting with characters in this book. Talia, you already talked about some of that. I think I just butchered your name, Talia.
Did you just forget what my name is?
No,
Are
I
you
think
an
it like
android?
all combined into one.
What
No,
model android are
androids
you?
wouldn't make a stupid mistake like that. So,
Or are you doing that to
Human.
prove that you're human? Okay. What was the question?
connecting with the characters,
Oh,
which you had already kind of talked about.
I don't. I would like to. Maybe that'll change. You know, we did stop at a point where it seems like there's finally like a relationship building between him and like he doesn't want this android bounty hunter who's also an android to die. So maybe some empathy is building there that I can connect to. But up until this point, I don't care about anybody in this book or what's happening to them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our group members felt the same way.
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm not really connecting to any of them too much, but like I do really appreciate Deckard and like how good he is at his job, which isn't the same thing as like connecting with him as a character, but he's really good at like spotting the androids and seeing the inconsistencies and giving that test and like tracking everything. And like it makes me wonder why he's not the head bounty hunter.
Well, he is now because the other guy got injured.
Yes. Yes, he did. But sorry,
He's younger, maybe.
That
Maybe
was
it's
a
just a
tangent.
lack of experience.
possible. But like, what did y'all feel about like connecting with any of the characters?
So we wait for them to chime in. I don't know if I connect. I mean, it's not that I don't connect with any of the characters. I don't care about them because I think I care about them in a different kind of way. Because I'm into like again like the sci-fi, it's the whole philosophy of everything, and like I'm interested in viewing the world from their perspectives. Like we've got Deckard's perspective, and we've got Isidore's perspective, and through them I care. I don't know if I necessarily care about them.
Yeah.
You know, and Deckard has, to make comparison to the last book that we read, you know, I had a hard time connecting with Darrow because it seemed like everything came easy to him, and
Yeah.
it was like, you know, he just kind of did what he did, and I didn't really like him. I connect more with Deckard than I do with Darrow and Red Rising. And I say Red Rising specifically because that's the book we read here. I'm reading the next one, and I have different feelings.
Yes.
But,
Awesome.
but I connect with Deckard way more than I connected with Darrow and Red Rising because I see him struggling. Same thing with Isidore. Like I see them struggling, and it's not just because I'm told that they're struggling. I actually feel like they
Yeah.
are, even though there are no commas in the sentences. But I also really care about. I want to see where this goes. I want to finish the Star Trek episode basically because I'm interested. Back to you.
Well, Matt Scalisi said, I don't know that I care about the characters, but I find the world super compelling to wander around in.
That's what I just said, Matt.
Yeah,
And
that's-
I'm
that's-
amazed at how Philip K. Dick captured what it would feel like to live in a world where technology has alienated us. And I love that comment. That's a really good point.
Ooh, speaking of the alienation, there's a lot of specific talk about the silence.
Yeah. And is it more than just Isidore that talks about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, because in the very beginning, Deckard's wife is saying
yeah.
the silence is what compelled her to try and, like, find this dial to feel something real. And, like, people seek each other out, like, trying to not live alone. Like, does anyone else have a cool thought on what the significance
let's look
of
into
the
the comments
silence
section
is?
about. They're chiming in now about what we've been talking about. So after Matt Scalisi said his comment, Jeff Moore says not having all the answers and not knowing is a good thing if it makes you ask questions to lead to learning things about yourself and the world around you, which this book is doing. Dan says I love how they talk about his instruments, but we all know that there's a needle.
And a flashlight.
Scott says, I think that a lack of connection is the point. Are they more or less human than the Andes? It's the philosophical point.
I love that.
Melissa says, I don't know if I've connected with any, but the story has me hooked. I'm going to finish as soon as we finish here. Nice. Brandy says, I care about the story and thoughts more than the characters. Yeah, we're on the same page. Literally, because we all stopped at the same point. Nikki says, I'm not really invested in any of the characters, but I appreciated reading from Isidore's perspective. Trish says, Isidore because placing people in a box and not being able to get out of it, no matter how hard he tries. Jay, hey Jay, talking about Schrodinger's cat. Nicole, I don't really care about any of the characters either, but I'm definitely interested in where the story will go. So it looks like,
Read that one.
Emily, I'm not going to tell that Bailey story. Sorry. That's too gross.
It is gross.
Ew. But so it sounds like we got a lot of consensus here in terms of like people aren't necessarily connecting with the characters, but they're connecting with the world and what the world informs about the world that we live in. That's literally just a year away.
Yeah. Well, and to go back to Talia's thing about the silence, Jennifer said, I think part of the control of the world is constant noise. No time for them to think of their own thoughts. When the characters pay attention to silence, they start questioning what they're doing. And that's a really good point. And I mean, I kind of see that in our world a little bit. Like, people are always doing something and always on. And, you know, you're the most creative when you're bored, is when you think about stuff. And when you're not having distractions, that's when you're able to, like, grow and think.
That's why I always have The Office playing in the background. It's my white noise machine.
Well,
That's
maybe
your Buster
you should
Friendly.
rethink that.
Buster Friendly and
Yeah.
the Friendly Friendlies
Yeah.
that's you.
Michael Scott and the Friendly Friendlies.
I mean, that's a good choice.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, it's interesting because you know, like, you know, the world of these people. I kind of lost my train of thought because I was reading another comment. But yeah, like, I don't remember what I was going to say. It's going to come back to me, but it was really good. Sorry. Back
Chris
to you.
Nicholson says that he's not sure the author wanted us to connect with the characters and that there's an intended distance there. And I saw someone else say it's because this is an idea book. Where it is. Yeah, Dan says, this isn't a character-driven story, it's an idea story, like Aesop's fables. The animals, boop, boop, aren't fleshed out characters. They're just tools to get the point across.
So I remember what I was going to say. Christy was talking about like our world, and like, you know, you can already look at what's happening, you know, what people are doing to themselves in terms of augmentations, in terms of like mood altering drugs, in terms of technology,
VR,
like VR and like you know, social media, and you know, and then all the things that like social media and the internet do to people in terms of like fear of missing out, and like you know, projecting your emotions and projecting your best life, you know, on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Like, there's so many parallels you can make to sort of like what people are doing to sort of cope with everything in this book, that it's pretty scary. Again, written like 60 years ago or 70 years ago or 80 years ago or whenever that was.
That is really crazy. That's something that I keep forgetting, like, as I read this book, that this is not recent at all. And that is eerie and worrying? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
No, Dan, speaking of social media, he said social media is ruining us, so we all log out. No.
No.
See,
That's not what we're talking
We're,
about. That's
we're
not
the
right.
good part of social media because we're connecting humanity again to have discussions.
Yeah, we're not
It's
telling you.
basically Mercerism.
It's
Yeah,
basically
we
Mercer.
are the old man walking
That
up
should
the
be a
hill.
shirt.
And
Literally wasted. Basically Mercerism.
I love that.
Write it down. My phone died.
Sorry,
not
Adam, what were you
robots.
saying?
no, I was just saying that we are the exception,
Yes.
and that
And you should tell your friends.
tell your friends,
Yes.
tell them that you love
Join our
this,
cult.
and dream of those electric sheep, baby.
If they want to feel human again, join our book club.
Yep.
Creepy.
We can offer a connection.
I don't-
The human connection.
I don't dream of normal sheep.
So you
Okay.
are an android.
I don't dream of sheep.
So we do have some differences of opinions in the comment section.
Yes, read them.
Vicky says, even in fables, you know, we're all talking about what the lessons we're supposed to learn from this. Even in fables, you're meant to learn the lesson by putting yourself in the roles. Doesn't happen with this book. So she is not identifying with the characters either, which is valid. It's a valid critique. Matt Scalisi says, we aren't the bad social media. Kids, shut up. I'm doing book club. Leanne says, one of us. One of us. One of us.
One of us.
Back to you.
Oh.
Christy, you were about to say something.
I don't remember what I was going to say, but I can change the subject a little bit.
Sure.
Vicky Pack mentioned earlier how arbitrary are the lines of segregation in the book. For example, being a special seems to cover a lot of ground: mental illness, genetic disorder, non-ideal appearance. Going by Isidore's attitude, it seems so deeply programmed into society that he can't even contemplate having a different status. Is he more content with his status than Deckard, who must choose his emotions to function as required by societal pressure to have an animal to care for? And I mean, that's a lot. That's like two different things, but like, I just thought that was great. And it really is interesting how if you're special, you're just dumped into like the specials. And there's like a lot of different definitions of what that is.
And nothing is really expected from you anymore.
Yeah, you don't
can
have
drive.
to work. Some of them have jobs, and that's like a status symbol also, is just having a job and contributing to
Your
society.
owl is covering up your mic.
Oh, sorry.
Who?
People hear that?
Sorry.
Is that an owl? What is that?
It's an owl.
We're
It's an
going
owl
with
with
an
a very
owl.
large beak.
It's the only owl we could find.
Ah,
Oh, also, you like our little menagerie here?
We have a hippo and a llama and a rhino and a cat and an owl and whatever that is.
That's a unicorn.
So y'all
It's
are
a pig.
definitely going to ascend
It's a
based
Yes.
on Mercerism because you got the animals covered.
So we got this covered. Like, I don't want to brag, but this is thousands of dollars worth of Mercerism empathy
lots
right
more
here.
than that.
So that reminds me of the conversation that Deckard had with his neighbor in the first chapter that I
yeah.
read like 4 times.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was really interesting because the guy's like bragging about his horse. And he's like, oh, my horse is pregnant. And Deckard's like,
By the wind.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that part.
Deckard's making, he's clearly jealous of this guy who has his horse. And he's like, maybe you should give me your other horse. And the guy's like, nah, brah, you got a sheep. So Deckard does
then
something
he tells
interesting
him-
and
he tells him
he
the sheep
shows
is
him the electric part of it, the sheep, which is the title of the book, which is interesting. But looking back on that conversation about the animals, now knowing more about Deckard and his fascination for animals and the whatever Mercerism belief that says you should have animals is like it's really in him. Like he really wants to have animals, and that you can see how that affects other parts of his life.
Well, and it affects all of the humans because even at the wherever
The fake vet.
the fake vet,
They're so upset.
but also when he goes to the android area or the building and they have the owl and but they know how much he wants it.
They lied. They were sneaky.
They were sneaky. But one thing I really liked was very quickly in this book you kind of get the title of the book, which has always struck me as bizarre. And I really appreciated that.
But I wonder if dreaming comes into play later.
So do we want to?
possible.
So
Wait,
we've only got a
I want to talk to someone on YouTube real quick.
okay.
Kessa Young, or Kisa, so sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, you can tell me. She said the only thing I can think of when I read about The Special is the Lego movie. I actually thought about the Lego movie when I was reading the beginning of this book, not because of The Special, but in the beginning of the Lego movie when everyone is doing the same thing every morning. They all wake up and there's like follow directions, get dressed, go to work, get your coffee, like, and everyone's going, everything is awesome, and they're all doing the same exact thing. That's what it made me think of.
Dan wants to know who Sydney was. That's the book, the blue book for animals.
Yeah.
But so we've only got
2 minutes.
a couple of minutes
Oh, wow.
till the hour mark. But do we want to go with final thoughts? And y'all chime in too. Specifically, how excited are you to keep reading this book? But we'll start with y'all.
Well, I'm really excited to keep reading this book. I actually really enjoyed the first half, and I cannot wait to read the second half. Find out what happens.
I do want to know that something happens, and especially all of y'all's comments about how like something does like tie this together and it pulls it together in the end. I will say I felt really like meh through the whole first part that we've read thus far. But these discussions always help me with that. Like any single time we've had a book where I'm like not fully into it, this discussion always helps rekindle my interest to finish the book. So that has helped me a lot, and I'd like to finish it tonight so that I can then start reading Dark
What
Ages.
happened
but
last month? How many
don't-
Red Rising?
I have one
books have you
left.
read? One left out of.
5.
Okay.
Don't judge me.
I like this book. It's weird, but I'm weird, so I'm down for that. I like everyone else. I feel like it's a world-building story more than so much the characters. The characters are just kind of a vehicle to kind of explore the world. And I'm really excited for y'all to watch the movie at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So you can just see the magnificence that, because you realize even more like, wow, they really took it and just blew it up and like just created this just visually amazing movie. But no, I'm excited. I'll probably finish it pretty soon. Just I want to use the rest of the month too. I switched over to Golden Sun, which is the second Red Rising book, and I love it. I'm halfway through that, so look at me. I'm a reading machine.
Reading a bonus
Reading
book.
a bonus book.
What?
Yeah, no, but this is cool, and I'm anxious to see where it goes. It started kind of rocky. The whole philosophy and the Mercerism and stuff was hard for me to get through, but I felt pretty quickly the story kind of set up and kind of took you through his journey to get these androids. So I'm down for it. And actually I think I stopped after chapter 12, so I messed up. But I was listening to audio, so I blame that. Adam.
Well, now that I've got a sense of the tone and I've got a sense of the writing style, and I read the first 2 chapters 100 times, I'm ready. I'm ready to read the rest of it. It was hard for me to stop at the halfway point, and I'm reading the graphic novels. So that's awesome.
I gotta get that.
I do want to see the pictures.
Yeah, if you're having a hard time with the book, check out the graphic novel because it really helped me. And but this is sci-fi at its best. This is like, for me, like being a sci-fi fan, this gets me. So I love reading these sort of philosophical type stories, sci-fi. I talked about the Star Trek episodes, one of my favorite ones. So yeah, for sure. And other people in the comments seem to feel same way. Jess Welch says, I cannot wait to see how it all comes together. Cindy Crass says, can't wait to finish it. Caitlin says, I'm interested to see what happens. Are they all androids? Brandy Stroud says, I can't wait to finish it. I'm really loving this book the more I read it. Same. Melissa Green says, I've really enjoyed it so far. It's hooked me enough that it's been hard not to read ahead. Vicky Pack says, I'll finish the book, but I'm not thrilled with it. It feels a little pretentious, which might be a hindsight thing in that the book is older than usual. Jay wants a poll to see which movie to watch first.
Well, didn't they? They just They just put the final cut version on Netflix, right?
Yeah, our resident expert on all things knowledge, Scott, who's sitting right over there, recommends the Netflix final cut version as like the definitive version. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Ridley Scott's version.
No, it's like the director's cut, but without the narration.
It's the version. So watch the one on Netflix.
Okay.
Ian says, I'm eager to see how it plays out. I was not into this book at the beginning, but right around the stopping point, I got kind of hooked. Stephanie says, I really want to finish it just so I'm not confused anymore. This discussion has made it less confused.
Yes, thank you.
Jay says, Lucas,
Yes.
please say, I expect you to die, Mr. Bond, in that voice.
I expect you to die, Mr. Bond.
Wait, is it that voice or the chickenhead voice?
you to die, Mr. Bond.
Well, Kessa on YouTube says that she hopes it answers questions for my sake. Yep, me too. Me too.
And that's why we
feeling
all
that.
meet to
Yes.
talk.
Speaking of all of us meeting, thank you to our wonderful, wonderful book club members. We would not be doing any of this without you. It would just be the 4 of us talking in my basement. So thank you for being a wonderful, supportive, and encouraging and enlightening group who joins us consistently and is so wonderful. And like, y'all, we brag about y'all all the time with all of our friends, talking about how kind and just really encouraging everyone in the group is, and basically really supportive of our bad book habits. But whatevs. It could be worse.
You mean great book habits?
Yeah, well, subjective. So thank you to Second and Charles for letting us stream here in the store. Remember, if you're joining late or if you have a friend who wants to join, we're still going to have the final book discussion 2 weeks from tonight. You can still go grab a copy at Second and Charles, tell them you're in a book club, get it for 20% off. Tell your friends to join the group because next time we'll be giving stuff away. Yay, special mostly mystery box. So make sure that you like the page on Facebook, that you are a member of the Literally Wasted Lounge, that we're on Twitter and we're on Instagram and we're on YouTube.
And so we've been discussing making these on-demand podcasts. So I'm gonna make that a point to go back into our archive and start with Good Omens. So if you have friends or if you want to just catch up and follow back up on a previous discussion, but you want to listen to it in your car or while you're doing the dishes, we will have that up. I'll be kind of working to get the podcasts up. And you can also check out our website, literarylywasted.club, sign up for our newsletters that we don't have yet, but you never know, you might want to get informed one day.
In the meantime, know that we won't spam you because we're not sending anything.
That's right.
Hey, important thing for everybody who's still watching, the final discussion is on Stephanie's birthday. So yeah, birthday cake for everybody.
Cake?
Cake?
Jay says his birthday's on Saturday.
Hey, happy birthday,
Hey,
Jay.
happy birthday.
Cake.
Back to you.
Well, we also had some exciting poll results. If you haven't seen that lately,
Someone ran away with a win.
yeah.
Dun-dun-dun. Oh, sorry, Hippo. That was Hard-Boiled Wonderland, Not Eggs, and The End of the World by Haruki Murakami.
Yeah, so that's going to be our book for March.
But we'll have the whole video announcement out at the end of the week so that y'all can share it with your friends.
Yeah, so surprise. I'm sure you're all surprised.
Yes, we're all surprised. Those 80 votes compared to 40. But thank you all for joining us for another live discussion with Literally Wasted. We love you all, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Y'all have a good night.